The whole game is the highest net worth, is it not?
Just because you have a lot of net worth doesn't mean you're mentally stable. What is an asset and what is a liability?
Are you making the right decisions, right? Because it's going to directly impact your personal financial statement.
And sometimes you're going to surprise yourself. I remember the first time when I was worth over $1 million, tax accountant says, hey, you have a net worth of like over $1 million. And I was like, there's no way. I got $5,000 in the bank account. Welcome to Chasing Millions. I'm Josh.
I'm the Eric.
You're the Eric.
Yeah, man. The fucking one and only.
Let's talk about something that a lot of people don't really know, and that is their net worth and how to calculate it, right? Yeah. You hear all the time people saying, I'm worth this and I'm worth that, but do they really know what they're worth? And do they know how to calculate their net worth accurately? So, as you know, on Chasing Millions, we talk to business owners that are currently business owners or somebody that's striving to be a business owner. And part of calculating your net worth is going to be a humongous factor of how you gather money, right? So let's talk about 5 points, how to calculate your net worth.
And those 5 points are going to be, what is net worth and why does it matter? Number 2, breaking down the calculation, assets versus liabilities. Number 3, how to accurately value your assets and liabilities. Something that sometimes we need to work on when we do acquisitions.
100%.
Right? Number 4 is the importance of updating your net worth regularly. Well, if you got enough shit going on, the bank's going to ask you for your updated financial statement, but we'll get there. Number 5 is, what does your net worth say about your financial future? Right? So very good points. I'm excited to talk about this because net worth is everything, right? You want to have the whole game is the highest net worth, is it not?
No, there's a lot of ways. We're talking about financial net worth, right? Just because you have a lot of net worth doesn't mean you're mentally stable or you're a good person or 1,000 other things, right?
My net worth to my wife is very high right now. It's very high.
So we're talking about financial net worth, and for me, my net worth is kind of a good snapshot of how much good I've done in the business world.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair. Yeah.
It's kind of just my gauge of like how successful I've been in the business lines I chose to give up my time for, and what is really, what is it?
What is net worth?
What is net worth?
I'll give you my example of net worth.
Well, that's number 2.
Ew.
Breaking down your net worth between assets and liability. What is an asset and what is a liability? Let's talk about that. So an asset is something that has value, and a liability is what you owe on that asset.
On that asset.
Or maybe not that one particular asset because you paid it off, but your company in general. So you take all your company's liabilities, aka loans, loan sharks, people you owe money, friends, family, banks, whatever.
Russian mob, whatever.
And then you pay those down over time, and or they go up in value over time, and your debt goes up and down, and there's a difference in the gap there, and the gap is your net worth, and it could be positive or it could be negative.
Yep.
Right? And that gap is your net worth. And not all net worths starting out and or even if you're large can be positive or negative.
Yeah.
Or they're all positive or negative, but they're all not positive.
You look at mine from like 18 to 30 years old, it was negative. It was negative for sure.
Most people are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Starting out, you're a young entrepreneur. You took a lot of risk, and your business you haven't created any value in your business. You haven't put any efficiencies in there. You haven't let it time to grow, and then you take all this debt on in the hopes and dreams that you're going to be able to put it into action. It might be real estate, it might be equipment, it might be whatever it may be. It might be personnel. You start a staffing company, right? You took some risk, and you haven't created any value yet. So sometimes the bank takes a risk with you.
Well, I would say, I don't know how many small business people or business people there are in general that watch this or in the world, but the reality is most people don't do what we do, right? They take the employee route, and let's talk about that for just 2 seconds about their net worth, right? And really, what that amounts to is how much money do you have in your own personal bank account, in your 401k, how much extra your car is worth, or if you're upside down, I might take it the other direction. Same with your house. And that is literally what your net worth is, unless you have anything else that's owned that you personally
It's your cash. It's your property. It's your 401k. It's anything that you own that is in your name and you have the tangible right to, that's considered an asset.
Yep.
Right? Now, if you owe the bank on it, we're going to go to step number 3 is how to calculate your net worth.
Yeah, there
Right.
you go.
Accurately value your net worth. I messed this up many of times.
Yep.
Right. Your assets also change value. Markets change. There for a while, equipment was.
Why do they change? Because they appreciate or potentially what we don't
Depreciate.
like, depreciate.
Exactly. I'll give you an example. Equipment, and during COVID time, equipment went through the roof. Real estate went through the roof. Now it's come back down to value because interest rates went through the roof, right? And it sucked away a lot of real estate values. Point is, don't be naive and telling yourself that you're worth 4 million, 5 million, 500,000, 1,000. It's irrelevant. Don't be naive until you have this number in your head when you're really not worth that. The banks are going to know. Any smart person's going to be able to calculate it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's always fun to look at a piece of paper when you're honest with yourself and know that you have a positive net worth, whatever that may be. You created value for yourself.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
accurately, we've bought businesses, and we've
Overvalued assets,
yeah,
right?
and it's directly impacted our cash flow, right?
Heck yeah, man.
We put a value to an asset, a truck, or whatever we're buying, and then we go try to sell it, and we're 5 or 10% off, or 20% off.
And then you know what happens after that. So
How to accurately value your assets and liabilities. It's a liability is a credit card too. A lot of people have credit card debt.
yeah, if you owe money,
You got to take everything that you owe to everybody.
you're liable to pay something. Right?
Yes.
Yep.
So, step number 4, the importance of updating your net worth regularly. I don't think it's probably as important if you are not a self-employed person and you're not an entrepreneur, but it's if you're a W-2 employee and you're trying to get a home loan, yes, you might have to. The banks are going to say, "Throw me your tax returns, throw me your liabilities," and they'll be able to do the math for you.
Your last 2 weeks or 2 months of pay stubs or whatever. Yep.
But for somebody like myself and you too, Eric, that owns multiple LLCs and values change on a consistent basis, up and down, up and down, up and down, in all different types of categories, it takes a lot of time to update your personal financial statement. And that's how I calculate it. I have a personal financial statement. It shows all my assets and it shows all my liabilities, short and long term.
Yep.
Right. And every year, it doesn't matter if you're in the real estate business, in the service business, if you have money lended out through a bank or private equity or whatever, they're going to want to know your P&L if it's business, and personally, your personal financial statement.
I think it's good to get into is a personal financial statement, right?
Yes.
Which is basically your individual net worth.
And you have to you sign it, if you use their format, or I always have my own format because I know how to change it and it's in Excel, but I update mine every quarter, right? And then I just know it kind of gives me a freaking since updating it so regularly, it kind of gives me a gauge of what's going on with myself.
Are you making the right decisions? Right? Because it's going to directly impact your personal financial statement.
And sometimes you're going to surprise yourself because I remember the first time when I was worth over $1 million, 25 years old, or 24. I remember looking at my personal financial statement and my P&L, and my tax accountant says, "Hey, you have a net worth of like over $1 million." So I was like, "There's no way. I got $5,000 in the bank account."
Yeah. So that's a good point, right? There's a difference between net worth and liquidity. Let's explain that to them, please.
So liquidity, in my cash liquidity, right, is readily available.
Yep.
Liquidity could be your equity in any piece of equipment and or anything tangible, right, that's paid off. Or not paid off, but there's a separation between, like we said, an asset and a liability. How much do you owe on that asset? And if there's a gap difference in a positive, it becomes equity, right? Point is, I remember the first time I realized that I had $1 million in net worth and I had no cash or very little cash because all my cash was going into equipment. So don't get discouraged. It's kind of funny when you hear this, you have this growing up where I grew up, not very wealthy, poor, but you have this persona of what a millionaire looks like, talks, acts, what they buy, how they eat, how they walk, right? What they do. Let me tell you something.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. Most millionaires do not act like millionaires.
No. They're pinching more pennies than you are.
Yes, they're watching every little thing. They're watching where they spend their money. Now, they have nice things depending on what level and how important that is to you. But for us, we make a lot of money and we buy a lot more assets to grow our businesses. So a lot of times my partners, including myself, we can spend a lot of our cash. Now, if we slow down the growth, we'd have a lot of cash, but that's not fun, you know? So just because you have a large amount of net worth does not mean you have a lot of cash. And sometimes it does, right?
Yeah.
So don't be surprised when you first hit that threshold of like, holy crap, I'm worth 100,000, I'm worth 10,000, I'm worth $1 million. Whatever it may be, you don't feel like it.
Yeah. It's always it's a running joke, right? It's a running joke around here.
Because people always have this perception of what it should feel like.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something.
Feels the exact same.
You don't feel any differently.
Feels the exact same. So, last point. What does your net worth say about your financial future? So, we could go on that one. But,
Well, how we use it, Eric, is we leverage our net worth to go get more debt.
yeah. But what does it say about your financial future? And really, it kind of depends, in my opinion. I'll talk on my own on this one.
Yeah.
Is, your net worth says is that, hey, you're worth this at this given time, right? And that could change depending on how much attention you're paying to whatever it is that you're doing. Could change on how much money you're putting into your 401k. Could change on if you make the wrong or right decision on a business decision that is huge, right? So, your net worth is only a snapshot in time, is what I wanted to get at. And it can change every day. It does change every day depending on the situations. So if you're broke as shit sitting at home right now, right, and you're like, I got a negative net worth, and tomorrow you hit the lottery or the Powerball or whatever it is, well, yours changed that much in one day, right?
100%.
But my point is that if you have a high net worth right now, if you don't continue to do the same actions and make the same right decisions, your net worth is going to change and it'll likely be for the negative. So even with somebody who's a millionaire net worth, right, don't forget that they got to keep doing the same things over and over and over. Keep making those right decisions. It's not easy. You always say that. It's not easy. It's a constant grind. Now, I will say that there comes a time, in my opinion, where if you make enough money and you invest it and you're willing to take a whatever annual percentage yield, or as we talked about yesterday on crypto, is my daily percentage yield, right? Which is another conversation. Watch the video if we have it out yet, or if we don't, we'll be coming out soon. But at the end of the day, your net worth tells you your financial future, in my opinion, just a little bit, because it can change, and you can go from nothing to something really quickly. And only thing that really matters is how much effort that you're willing to put into whatever it is you're doing.
I think the net worth, I agree with you, by the way, but I think a net worth is a direct reflection on how many positive or negative decisions you have made.
Yeah, I mean, depending on if you're a spoon-fed gold.
It doesn't really matter. You just, you still have
matter.
to, you can be, there's a lot of rich people that inherit a lot of money and lose it, right? But if you calculate your net worth and you are able to retain it, right? But if you look at your net worth, it's a direct reflection of how many decisions you made in your life. We're not talking about the one-off 1%ers that wake up and they're rich because their mom and dad gave them. That's not our audience here. They're not watching these videos.
They're not?
No, they've already had it, right? We're talking about the guys that are like you and I that woke up, lower to middle class. We're grinding. We're trying to make it. We're trying to do the right things. We're trying to build our businesses. We're trying to improve our family lifestyle and our partners around us. Right? It's a direct reflection of how many good decisions you made. I always work my net worth backwards. I have a goal. How much is my net worth? What's my goal?
100 million.
100 million. Everybody around me knows I want to be worth $100 million. So if you're watching this, I want to be worth $100 million. Everybody around me knows that because that's the goal I set forth for myself, right? I don't really have a timeline I want to do it, but I want to be worth $100 million, right? That means that I might have liabilities of 80 million, and I might have assets of whatever, and there's going to be 180,
and then the difference is going to be
$100 million. The point is, it's a direct. I always set my goals backwards. Yeah. So I want to be. I think
is very smart.
I want to be worth 100 million, and what is that going to do for me? Well, I know if 100 million, I can pretty much do anything I want for the rest of my life, and I can set up a legacy foundation for my kids, right? And also, it can help a lot of people out, right? So. Doesn't have to be 100 million, folks. That's just what I did, right? And it's okay to reset it. I've reset my goals multiple times. I remember when I was 23, starting my first business, and I wanted to be a millionaire by 30. I hit it by 24. I remember resetting my goal again at 24. And then I reset it again at 27. And I reset it again at 30. I've been very fortunate in my entrepreneur career to put myself around good people and have a little luck on my side and put forth the effort. Effort's number one, right? But I work my numbers backwards. I have a lifestyle. I have a cash flow. I need to live my lifestyle, right? And I know how much net worth I think it's going to take to do that, right? At this point, it's a game, right? But yours might be different. Everybody has goals, different goals and objectives.
Mine's different, but I'll tell you what. I'll leave you with this. and I saw this on a video the other day that I thought was really interesting. And it's a very crazy. Well, I wouldn't say crazy, but it's just a different concept than what you normally see. You have your Forbes list of people, right? That you want to know how much the net worth is and who's on the number one on the Forbes list, right? But I was watching a video with Jeff Bezos was on it the other day. You may have seen it, I'm not sure, but he's like, why isn't there a list of people who've made it like himself? That how much net worth has he created for other people?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't that crazy to think about, right? And I say that, but we do it right now, right?
100%.
And I think that for me, I've been trying to reflect on that conversation that you had on that podcast, and once and by all means, I don't feel like I've made it, right? I don't, right? I haven't met my goals yet. I don't feel like I've made it, right? But when I do, and I will, I think that's the next step. For me personally, I want to take other people around me and figure out how can I situate my position and increase other people's net worth, and it kind of be fun, right? And I think you've kind of done that yourself, just naturally, without even really thinking about it.
Well, I think if you have a goal and you meet your goal, in my opinion, naturally other people
are going to make it around you.
They're going to naturally rise up with you, right? Yeah. Now, if you're the head guy, they might not rise up to your cream, but that's all relative too. It's
all relative.
If a guy's worth $100 billion and you're worth $50 billion, are you really complaining?
Yeah.
Or if you're worth $100 million, are you really complaining? Or $10 million?
Maybe, but I understand the point. Yeah.
So, I did see the other day, and I don't know if it's true that they say Elon Musk is now worth $400 billion.
I don't know. I didn't read that one.
I just read that today on the way in while I was driving, like you're not supposed to.
I also saw a little deal with a picture of, like, you could see the fucking Tesla cars from space now, the unused, unbought Tesla cars. You can see it from space. There's that many of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard the Cybertruck is just tanking. No, get back on our calculating net worth. Listen, folks, it's not. I don't really keep. Not a lot of people know what I'm worth. I don't really go out there and brag because I don't feel rich. I don't act rich, right? I just feel like a normal person. I'm not rich in all reality.
Rich is just relative, in my opinion.
Exactly. A lot of people are a lot richer than what you and I are because they have a lot more free time. Yeah. And I think that's a way to calculate
time
it, right?
Rich.
Mental health.
I think mental health, time, and family.
Health in general, right? We're talking about financial net worth, right? It's good to know where you're at, especially if you're getting older and or you want to retire at an early age or retire at all. You need to know how much money you think you're going to be worth because you're going to need that money to chill out. I don't trust the government, right? I want to do it on my own, right? So if you live in the U.S., if you live in another country, it's good to know how much you're worth.